Hello, here we are for our word problem of the day. So what I want you to do is to set up your word problem, and we're going to set it up exactly like we used to do. So we're going to set it up by making our big plus sign in the middle of your whiteboards or paper. Go ahead and make your boxes, and then make sure you do a number bond. Go ahead and get that set up, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so here's today's question. Taylor had 18 pennies in her bank and 7 more in her pocket. How many pennies does Taylor have altogether? So, we're looking at the number 18 and we're looking at the number 7, aren't we? And we have that word all together. So that word all together means that we have to add them together. So, we can do it a couple of different ways for our drawings. I think today what we're going to do is we're going to use some quick tens and ones because that's what we've been used to drawing for these, because as the number gets bigger, it gets harder to have room to do our tens frames, and the quick tens are quicker. So we have 18 that we have to draw. So let's draw just like this. We have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's our 18. So we have to make sure that we keep it in a nice straight line, as straight as we can be, and make them pretty small, right? So now what we need to do is we need to draw the 7 extra that she had in her pocket. And the way we do that is to make sure that we fill in here before we draw the extras. So let's think about it. This is where those friends of 10 come into play. So I know I have 8 here because I had 18. 10, 8 is 18. How many more do you need to give to 8 to make it a 10? Well, let's see. 8, 9, 10. I need 2 more. So I know out of those 7 that I had in my pocket, that she had in her pocket, what we're going to do is we're going to draw 2 of them there, and I'm going to use X's to do that. So watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go ahead and draw those. Now if I look, I notice that I have another 10 here. So now I have 10, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And I'm going to put my 25 here. And what I want to show you is, if I made my 10s and 1s frame right here, I have 2 sticks of 10 and I have 5 1s. Okay? So that's where we're at with our picture. Now, what we need to do is we need to make a number bond. The number bond has to go directly to the problem that was asked of us. So we were asked how many she has altogether because we know that she had 18 in her bank. We're going to label that B for bank. And then we had 7 in her pocket. So we want to know how many pennies. So we're going to label this pennies, P for pennies, how many she has altogether. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch 18 and count up 7. So I can go 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That 25 should match this 25 up here, and it does. So I'm going to put 25 here, and I'm going to put 25 here. Now, here comes the tricky part. This is that part where we're going to use a number sentence, but we're going to do it the make a 10 way. So I have 18 plus 7, and we know that equals something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break apart this number because I need to bring this 18 up to the nearest 10. Remember, those 10s are 10, 20, 30, and so on. So if I'm going to bring 18 up to a 10, it's going to have to go up to a 20. So how many do I need to give to the 8 to make it a 10? Well, let's look at our picture. Our picture, I added 2 more to make it a 10. So I'm going to make it 2 more right here. Now, here's the part that I know is difficult for you guys, and that's figuring out what this number is. So what you can do is you can punch 2 and count up to 7, or you can punch 7 and count backwards 2, which is what I would do because it's quicker. 7, 6, 5. Okay? So we landed on 5. We're going to cross this out because it's not 7 anymore, it's 2 and 5. Now, the way we can prove that this answer is right, this should be your extras over here, and it is. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle these 2 numbers here because I know the 18 plus 2 is 20, plus the number I didn't use, which is my 5. 20 plus 5 is 25. And I'm going to put this here with a box around it to remind me that it goes into the middle. And lastly, we need to answer the questions. We want to know, how many pennies did Taylor have? So we're going to say Taylor had 25. Remember, it has to match the other numbers. And then pennies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that right here in the middle. That's a complete answer. Now, could I have solved that a different way? Absolutely, because remember I told you, I'm just giving you different strategies to solve these problems. So today we chose the make a 10 way. I could have split it up into tens and ones as well, and we're going to try that tomorrow. So we're ready for our next part. What we're going to do is I'm going to give you a number, and what I'm going to ask you to do is add a 10 to it. Now, it might not be just 10. It could be add 30, add 20, add 50. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a little fluency in doing this. And what I want you to do is really think about some patterns. We're going to start using some patterns, and then we're going to start jumping around. So here's an example. I'm going to give you the number 5, okay? So I want you to add 10 to the number 5. So 10 plus 5 is 15. Good, because we know 10, 5 is 15. So now I want to say, okay, here's the number 5. We're going to add 20 to the number 5. So 20 plus 5 is, you got it, 25. So let's say this together. Ready? 10 plus 5 is 15. 20 plus 5 is 25. What if I said 30? 30 plus 5 is 35. And one more. 40 plus 5 is 45. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to give you a number, and I'm going to ask you to add something to it. For example, 2. So what is 30 plus 2? Holy cow, you did it. 32. 30 plus 2 is 32. How about the number 4? I want you to add 40 to 4. 40 plus 4 is 44. Because think about it. Whatever number you're adding to the 10 is going to take the place of the 0 in that 10. So for example, if I had that 40 plus 4, what's going to happen is that's not going to be that 0 anymore. This 4 is just going to come right over and take its place to make the number 44. Great job. Let's do one more. Ready? How about we'll use the number 6. So I'm going to say, how about 70 plus 6? You got it. It's 76. So I want you just to remember that you can add any of these numbers. You can add any 10 you want, because all you're going to do is replace the 0 with that extra number, and it should be easy for you to do. All right, I hope you're ready for our lesson. I know it's getting a little more difficult, and it's going to take some time for you to get used to how to do this. And I promise you there's a method behind my madness. I've been taking you step by step through tens and ones, and I know it seemed very easy. And now what you need to do is you need to apply what you've learned to how we do our math problems. And I'm giving you different strategies to use so that you don't have to just choose one way or the other. You can mix and match, whatever you want to do. But I'm giving you several different options, so not one option is best for everybody. Whichever one you think is better is what I'd like you to use. So let's check it out and see what we can do. So we have 2 ways that I've taught you so far. We have the tens and ones way, and we have the make a 10 way. So now the tens and ones way is exactly that. We're breaking that bigger number down between tens and ones, and then we go through and we add again. The other way, which is the make a 10 way, is where you want to make this number a 10. So what you need to do is you need to break the smaller number down to bring this number up to a 10. So there's a couple different ways, but what I want to show you today is how you can use each of these strategies and still come up with the same answer. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look at a slightly different problem so you can see the pattern going on, okay? So here's the first one. We're going to do 19 plus 5. Now, I'm going to do it the tens and ones way. So when you do it the tens and ones way, you're breaking down the 2-digit number into tens and ones. So I know 19 is 10, 9. You got it, 10, 9. So I'm going to put 10 here, and I'm going to put 9 here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my ones, because remember, I broke this down into tens and ones, and then these 5 are ones. So I'm going to bring that down here. 9 plus 5 equals what? What does it equal? Now, here's where I'm hoping that your mathematical minds are starting to think, because I can think of it like this. I can punch 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I know that the answer is 14. But this is also what you could be saying to yourself. Well, I know 10 plus 5 is 15. So 1 less than 10 is 9. So my answer's got to be 1 less, which is 14. What do you think? Can you think of it that way? So I know this is 14. Now, I'm not done, because what I need to do is now take this number here and add it to that number. So I'm going to bring this number down here, the 14, plus the 10 to come up with my answer. So let's think about it. What is 10 more than 14? If you said 24, you're absolutely right, but let me show you how you get to it. I want you to take a look. Which digit is changing? Is it my tens or my ones? Well, I'm adding a 10. Think about it. A 10. So my tens are changing. So now I'm going to keep this 4 here in the ones. And now I have 1 10 here and 1 10 here, which gives me 2 tens. So my answer is 24. I know it's confusing. I totally understand that it's confusing. With practice, you'll get it. Let's take a look on the other side and let's see if maybe this one might be a better choice for you. So we're going to do a make a 10. So this time we're going to break this number down. We need to give 19 something to bring it up to 20. Well, I know my 10 friends of 10 is 9 plus, right, 1 is 10. So I'm going to give a 1 over on this side. Now I need to figure out what's 1 less than 5, and in this case it's 4. So now we don't have 5 anymore, we have a 1 and a 4. So I'm going to circle these two here. So 19 plus 1 more equals 20. But now I got to bring that 20 down and add it to the number I didn't use, which is 4, which again gives me 24. Did I come up with the same answers both ways? Absolutely. So there's different choices for you. And then what I also want to show you is this for both ways. So we're going to build 19. There's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now what I need to do is add 5 to that. Now remember, I've got to try to make this into a 10 stick. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I can make that into another 10 stick. So if I was making my tens and ones chart, I have 2 tens and 4 ones. See that? So basically what I'm doing is proving my answer. Now, I want to show you something. I'm going to erase this side. And I just want to show you how we're going to do a problem that looks very similar. So we just did 19 plus 5. Well, what happens if I do 29 plus 5? Now, we're going to do it this way just so you can see the comparison. So I'm going to break down the smaller number because I'm trying to bring this up to the next 10. Now over here, I added 1 to it because I was trying to bring it up to 20. How many do I bring this one up to? Yeah, I bring it up to 30 and I need to give it only 1 again. Nothing's changed. I'm still looking at the ones and saying, how many ones do I need to give it to make it another 10? And I still only need to give it 1. So I'm going to put a 1 here, and guess what? We broke this 5 down into 1 and 4, and this is still the same, 1 and 4. So we're going to cross out that 5 because we now have a 1 and 4. I'm going to circle these two and say 29 plus 1 more equals, that's right, 30. So see the difference? We're 10 more. And now I got to bring the 30 down here and add it to the number I didn't use, which gives me 34. So my answer here is 34. So let's think about what happened. I went from 19 plus 5 to 29 plus 5. The only difference between those two problems is 110. I went from having 110 here to 2 10s here. So if I brought this up by a 10, guess what? My answer's got to be up by a 10. So I want you to pay attention to those patterns, because in the problems you're going to have to do today, that's exactly what you're looking at, is the progression of adding an additional 10. Here's the work you need to get done. So today you're going to be on page 54 and 55. 54 is very easy. We're going to actually just go over problem number 2 with you, and it's really very simple. What I'm going to ask you to do is basically count your 10s, count your 1s, and see what you have. Then what I want you to do is fill in a 10s and 1s frame and then answer the question. So let me show you how we're going to do this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make my 10s and 1s frame. And I know I have a bundle of 10s here, right? But then I look like I only have some 1s here. So it looks like I have 1 10, and then I know there's 5 here because I built 15. So it's going to be 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 1 10 and 8 1s, which is 18. Now, if you take a look at it, the only digit that changed is the 1s. There's only a 10 here. We didn't add any 10s to it. So we know that the 10 is going to be here, and the only digit that changes is going to be the 1s. And if I punch it out, 15, 16, 17, 18, I come up with the same answer. Now, let's take a look at page 55. On page 55, it's a little different. I'm going to use that as my magnet. Now, what we're going to do is on letters A, B, C, D, and E, you're just going to add those. I want you to punch those numbers and count on. Or if you just know what the answer is, I want you to write it down. But starting on letter F, letter F, what you're going to do is you're going to use one of the ways to create your answer. You can use the make a 10 way, or you can use the 10s and 1s way. You've got to really look to see which one will work better for you. Now let's take a look at this one. This is 16 plus 4. Now, I'm actually going to use the 10s and 1s way for this one. So watch why, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into 10s and 1s. I have 1 10, so that's the number 10, and my 1s. So 16 is 10 6. Would you agree? Good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle my 1s, and I'm going to say 6 plus 4 equals what? Good, you knew that that was a friend of 10. So 6 plus 4 is 10. Then I'm going to bring that 10 down here, and I'm going to add it to the 10 that I didn't use yet. And we all know 10 plus 10 is 20. And that's my answer. Now, keep in mind, you're going to have to write fairly small, because if you look, you don't have a lot of room in here to write your answer, do you? If you need to, get a blank piece of paper and go ahead and just rewrite your problem on that, and that'll work better for you. Because what I also would like you to do is to go ahead and make yourself a 10s and 1s frame, okay? And if you draw out your picture, it'll actually help you. So if I have 16, I'm going to draw 16 right here, and I have to add 4 more to that. Well, here's my 4 more. And what that did was that created another 10. So I have 2 10s and I have no 1s. So choose the way that works best for you. I hope you don't have any problems. I think you might. If you do, please let us know and we can walk you through it again. And just keep in mind, we're going to practice this over and over. It's not like we're just going to ship it out to you right now and then we're done with it. We're going to keep working at it. Make sure you send your work in, and we'll see you tomorrow.